Hi, my name is Sarah, and I wanted to do a video about my SVT cardiac catheter ablation that I just had. The reason that I wanted to do this video is because when I was told that I should have the procedure done, I tried finding stories about other people's experiences, and there weren't very many. So now that I have survived, I thought I would post just a quick video, very casual, obviously, just about my experience. And so I'll just kind of go in chronological order. The surgery was done because of PSVT, but I was told that it's the same whether you have SVT without a P or whether you have WPW. That it's pretty much the same. The night before the surgery, or the day before the surgery, I was told no stimulants, so no caffeine, chocolate, nicotine, alcohol before the surgery. And then at midnight to stop all food and water. And I went in for my surgery at 6:30 in the morning. So up until that point, I just ate pretty normally until I went to bed, and then woke up, went straight to the hospital. And when I got there, they let my family back in the room with me, and I'm sure that varies by hospital, but I was allowed to have both my husband and my mom with me. And they had me get in one of the gowns and get into a bed, which I had never done before, but a nurse came in and took some blood. It turns out that they did a whole test of a bunch of things, including like blood clotting, I don't even know all the stuff they did, but when I looked at my records, they had tested for a whole bunch of things. And then, but the most important one that they wouldn't let the procedure start without the result is whether I was pregnant. So they had to make sure, they kept saying, we have to make sure she's not pregnant, we have to make sure she's not pregnant. So they did the IV, and that's really all they did in the room, like pre-op. They asked me a bunch of questions like, did you not eat, and did you avoid caffeine and stimulants, all that stuff. They also shaved some of the areas that they would need to put the catheters in, but obviously there weren't needles or anything with that. And then they wheeled me on the bed into the catheter lab, where I was met by a whole team, probably 8 or 9 people. And they helped me switch from the bed to the, I guess, operating table. And I was really lucky because I don't know if it was just my hospital, but the operating table was heated. And then they came out and they put heated blankets on top of me. So I was very warm, very covered. I was in a gown and completely naked underneath, but I didn't feel exposed. They took really good care of me that way. Once I was on the table, they helped me put the stickers on, or they didn't help me. They put the stickers on. So they had me sit up and they placed them in a bunch of different places. But if you've done the Holter monitors, or the EKGs, you know the stickers. They're those little round ones. And then they had a couple like really big pads that they put on my back is what I remember the most. And so they put the stickers on, and they put oxygen under my nose, and that's the last thing I was super lucid for. I had been told prior to the procedure that I would be awake during the procedure, and the anesthesiologist said that they wanted me asleep, but in a light enough sleep that they could tap my shoulder and wake me up. And I was a little bit nervous about that, because why would you ever want to be awake during a procedure? But if that's something you're nervous about, seriously, don't be nervous, because I'm a sleep talker. And that's exactly what it felt like. Like, I woke up with these vague memories of turning around or like looking behind me and seeing someone. But it wasn't scary. It wasn't painful. I tend to be a really anxious person, and I didn't feel any of that at all. Even though like I knew I was awake. I remember being conscious because there's music playing in the lab, and I remember thinking, don't tap your foot, because they're, doing stuff to your body. But it wasn't scary. And I do remember talking, but it wasn't a big deal. It's just like sleep talking if you're a sleep talker. So once they were done, which I think it ended up being under 2 hours, maybe about 2 hours, what I woke up to is them just saying, okay, you're done. Don't move. We're going to move everything for you, because they had to move me from the bed back to the, from the operating table thing to back to the hospital bed. And again, I was surrounded by a team. It must have been at least 5 or 6 people that told me, seriously, just play dead, don't move, and we'll get you to the bed. So I just laid dead, and they moved me 100% on their own to the wheelie bed, wheeled me back into my room. They must have taken the stickers off, but I don't really remember that part. Sorry, the lighting's weird. And they wheeled me back into the room pretty much immediately. My mom got to come back and my husband got to come back. The cardiologist came out, said it was successful. Then probably the worst part of the whole thing was actually laying flat for 4 hours afterwards. And the reason they have you do that, which I didn't really realize, is because they put the catheters right where your torso meets your legs. And so they want to make sure there's no bleeding from the sites, which is a good thing. But so if you can't bend at your legs, like at your torso, then you can't really move that much. So I was completely flat. They let me eat and drink and stuff, but I wasn't allowed to move my own legs. So I had to request that they kind of help me adjust to get comfortable, because there were some times I was a little bit restless. But like I said, people were back there with me and talking. I remember the whole thing, so I wasn't too drugged. I could have read a book. I did a little bit of work, actually. I watched some videos for work that I still remember. So I think, it could be a productive time or a fun time, or however you want to fill your 4 hours. You just can't move. And then after the 4 hours were up, pretty much immediately they said, okay, we're going to go for a walk. And they undid the IV at that point, because I was on a drip. I don't know what it was. I was on a drip. They undid the IV and took off the remaining stickers. They were still monitoring some of the heart stuff on the monitor. No, I'm sorry, they didn't do that yet. I walked around with a portable EKG thing. So they didn't take off the stickers yet, but they took out the IV and they unhooked the finger pulse thing and the blood pressure thing that I had on the whole 4 hours. And then we just did one loop with the nurse. I was a fall risk. I think they say pretty much everyone's a fall risk, because I had been under some kind of anesthesia, even though it wasn't general. So we went for a little walk around the hospital, and she basically said, okay, we're going to wheelchair you down. We were on the 3rd floor, so it made sense. They wheelchaired me down. I got dressed, went home. I was a little bit tired, but I don't know how much of that is because they were in my heart, or the drugs, or just because I had woken up early for this procedure. But I just napped, took it really easy. My heart didn't hurt or anything. Nothing felt weird. The only thing was pre-bruising. I was sore at those sites. So that made sitting hard. You picture getting into the car. You have to sit right up on those spots and putting pressure on that. So that was a little bit, not painful, but it was sore. I had stairs in my house, and they told me to avoid stairs for a while, so I kind of just stayed on one floor. And it didn't hurt that much going upstairs, but I was aware of it. I had to keep the gauze on those sites until the next morning, and so that just made mobility kind of hard, because it's hard to walk when you have these big gauzes, kind of on your hip area. But really, after the 24 hours, definitely after 36 hours, I would say I was fully recovered. I went on a run about 48 hours after I got home, and it was fine. The only thing that was weird is that people say you get like a sensitive heart. Your heart feels sensitive, and I didn't know what that meant until it happened. But really, before I would have my tachycardia, I would get a little drop, and then the pulses would start. And so I keep getting the drop without the tachycardia. So that's weird because you go, oh, I'm bracing myself for the tachycardia, and then it never comes. So I'm really aware of those types of episodes, but I haven't had any pain. I haven't even really had swelling. They had 3 attempts on my IVs, and so they did 1 in each elbow and kind of blew them out, and then the back of my hand. So the sites they blew out are still kind of bruised, but it's IV bruise. I mean, it's not like, if you've had blood drawn, you've had that kind of bruise before. So really, it was fine. I was nervous going in, but all that I was awake for, like really conscious of, was putting an IV in. And that's never fun, and I'm going to admit I actually fainted when they did it, because I faint all the time. But there was, like, I didn't have any needles in my legs that I was aware of. I mean, they did, but I wasn't awake for it. I wasn't awake for any, like, tubes or anything. It was, seriously, they put an IV in, wheeled me into a room, gave me a heated blanket, and I woke up a few hours later. So, I don't know if this is comforting to anybody that's going to go into the surgery, but I made it out alive. They said there's like a 95% chance I'll never have an episode again. They said that I no longer can say that I have PSVT. I can say I had a catheter ablation, but not that I actually have PSVT anymore. I'm now cured of it. So that's a really good thing, and if it's a nuisance, I say go for it. I don't know if there's anything else to add. I hope it covered everything, but good luck if you're going to do it, and it's going to be fine, and I hope it goes well for you. Thanks.